And I'm with you, Keefe. I don't know if the Patriots played an incredible game, but they played buttoned up, turnover free. I was worried they were going to be completely undisciplined. The first kickoff of the year.
First play of the game.
First play of the Mayo era.
Couldn't line up right.
They can't line up. I'm like, here we go. Boy. This is going to be just a debacle.
Yeah. Nope.
And they were buttoned up.
They were great.
They were well coached. They were largely disciplined. I think they were flagged for more penalties than Cincinnati. They didn't turn it over. They made a couple of huge plays defensively, fourth down stops, turnovers on top of it. Brissett was decent. He was even scrambling around a little bit, which even shocked Gerard Mayo.
He could scoot.
As I heard this morning.
He was surprised.
Ramondre Stevenson was awesome.
Yep.
The Bengals were bad. They look like they're borderline boycotting and pissed about the contracts, but put that to the side. The offensive line was good.
Yeah,
the Patriots were way, way, way better than any of us expected. And for a week anyways, they deserve credit for that.
I got something to say to both Gerard Mayo and Alex Van Pelt.
What's that?
I'm stupid. You're smart. I was wrong. You were right. You're the best. I'm the worst. You're very good looking. I'm not attractive.
I didn't see this coming, and I know it's not like they lit up the scoreboard or anything, but I give Gerard Mayo specifically a ton of credit because he's not in charge of the roster. He inherited a bad roster. We can quibble with the moves we liked and didn't like in the offseason. Their most valuable asset was the number 3 overall pick, and he didn't play in the game. Nope, we've talked quite a bit about that.
Yes.
So he didn't play in the game. So
I mean, their second-round pick barely played in the game.
Yeah, true. So Gerard Mayo took a 4-win team from last year and brought them into Cincinnati week 1. He knows they don't have a high-scoring, high-flying offense, and he and Alex Van Pelt kind of cooked it up. The offensive line looked so much better than anybody would have imagined based on preseason, the practice reports, and everything else. Just the names that were there. You don't even have all the guys that you want with City So being out. So you're like, oh, Brissett's going to get killed. No, he didn't. He picked up a bunch of first downs with his legs. They dominated just some of those long possessions that they had. They had a kicker who was drilling his kicks. And what really jumped out was how Bill Belichick was always all about defense and special teams, right? Sometimes we'd almost pull our hair out. He was so obsessed with defense and special teams. Yeah. And yet, over the last 5 or 6 years, the special teams was a mess. Remember how many penalties? They were giving up kick return touchdowns. They were kind of a mess. And even the defense kind of feasted on bad quarterbacks and weren't very good against good quarterbacks. Well, they allowed 10 points to Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase played, right? You can talk about whether he's pouting or not, but he played. He's one of the best receivers in the league. They allowed 10 points, and they controlled that whole game. I did not see that one coming. Like the two sides worked so well together, meaning the offense, kind of these long established drives where they just ran the ball. They told you they were going to run it, and they did. But then the defense looks like a tough defense to play against.
Well, and so stick with Mayo for a second, because even that offensive line, the plan was to play Chukwuekorfor at left tackle. Coaches benched him. They benched him 12 snaps in or whatever it was. They went to Vidarian Lowe, which I wouldn't have signed up for.
Scary, what you would have thought.
If you told me that before the game, that 12 snaps in, it's all Vidarian Lowe at left tackle because the Chukwuekorfor experiment failed, I would say, well, they got blown out.
Mm-hmm.
They made a coaching adjustment, and the offensive line was way better than anticipated. I think Brissett had to run for his life a little bit. He got hit a couple of times.
Yeah.
But that is, at bare minimum, an average offensive line based on that performance, and certainly a lot better than we expected.
And they have a couple good pass rushers on Cincinnati's side.
Yeah. I don't think Hendrickson was a monster yesterday.
Hendrickson's good. So they have a couple guys going after him. And, the O-line wasn't the biggest issue. Was it 1 sack in the entire game? Like, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think, what was the over-under probably going into the game? Like 4.5, somewhere in there?
I did a brag. I did TV on Friday night. The over-under for the season, Keefe.
Yeah.
I was asked 48. Three a game was the over-under. I think they gave up something close to that last year, 48, 49, something like that last year.
I would have taken the over ahead of time.
Yeah.
And, no, it was professional. But not only that, you got to say they're good at run blocking because Ramondre Stevenson, who monster game for him because his importance was showcased right out of the rip. And we were talking about how if Alex Van Pelt is taking anything from his days in Cleveland, even though he wasn't calling the plays, but he was the offensive coordinator, we're like, well, they had Nick Chubb and they had a really good offensive line. It's like, all right, well, Ramondre Stevenson and Gerard Mayo on his Mayo Monday appearance this morning was really talking up Ramondre Stevenson's one of the best backs in the
Call
league.
him a top 10 back. He did it yesterday after the game, too.
I mean, a game like yesterday would sort of point you in that direction, wouldn't it? I mean, he looked as good as anybody. Some of it, was the block, but there are other times where he's just making guys miss, or he's like initiating the contact and picking up a few extra yards. He could be elusive. So it was a great all-around game from Ramondre Stevenson, and this had to have been the game plan for them. Like going in, even though idiots like me are like, no chance they win. I'm sure Mayo, Van Pelt, DeMarcus Covington, credit to him, probably got together and were like, all right, how are we going to win this game? And it's exactly what they did.
No. And Mayo now a couple of times, and they're paying him like he's a top 10 back, so he should be a top 10 back. But Mayo a couple of times after the game yesterday, this morning with the Greg Hill Show. And if you missed any of it, check it out on the Odyssey app. Check it out on YouTube. Subscribe to WEEI. It's there. It's available for you. I'm going to let you know. You got to set aside like a half an hour to hear it. But I thought Mayo was
good
great.
Stuff.
I thought he was very interesting, very candid. And obviously feeling good about the win, which he should. And so that's worth a listen on the Odyssey app and on YouTube if you didn't hear it this morning. But he also talked about how they're going to play defense, and I agree with you, Keefe. They usually feasted on terrible quarterback play the last couple of years. Feasted on bad teams, bad quarterbacks. Yesterday, I felt like they hit the crap out of Cincinnati. And to me, this is how they won the game yesterday. And we'll take all your thoughts on it. What was the key? How did they win? What was the biggest factor in the victory? Was it managing the football? Was it playing with an edge? Was it establishing the run? Was it Mayo's impact? Again, you can jump in at 617-779-7937. They set a tone on defense. The Bengals didn't have a first down until the second quarter.
Yeah, crazy.
They hit the crap out of them. Duggar stripping Hudson, and that was Hudson reaching out at the end zone going in.
Yeah.
Duggar stripping Gesicki. I liked your tweet
He
about
stinks.
About
I
how
was like, come on.
you should get a flag if you do the gritty when you don't catch a touchdown.
No, you dropped it. Gesicki's horrible.
He's
and then
bad.
you're like, oh my god, you almost forgot that he was even on.
I
the
was
Patriots.
like, man, where was this when you were on New England? And then they showed the replay, and I'm like, right,
There he is.
That's
the guy.
That's the Gesicki I knew.
Man, without T. Higgins, though, and again, I'm very positive on the Patriots today, but without T. Higgins and with a sad sack Jamar Chase, you're like, who's Burrow throwing to?
Yeah.
Some dude I've never heard of, two washed tight ends, two not great running backs.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're going to be fine. I think it's a big checkmark win and a big, at the end of the season, you're like, well, they did beat the Bengals in Cincinnati. I think it's going to look good. But no T. Higgins, there is a bit of a drop-off there.
Yeah, for sure. And so I just think they hit the snot out of him.
Yeah,
And
they did.
I give Mayo and Covington a lot of credit for that. Like, I thought, and I did not think the world of Bill last year. I wanted Bill out. I thought they would improve without Bill. We'll see if that's actually the case. Through 1 week, it looks like they're going to, but we'll see. It's a long way to go.
Yep.
But I always thought that defense was a little overrated, and I even thought they'd come back to the pack a little bit. No Judon, no Barmore. And it's like, how are they going to do that?
No.
Well, they
Keon
did,
White.
They did it yesterday with tone and edge, and I imagine that starts with Mayo. He's got the guys, as Devon Godchow said late last week, ready to run through a wall for him. They tackled.
Dude, that Jonathan Jones tackle on third down was insane. I was like, is that the same guy?
It was like the play on Thursday night where Zay Flowers got dropped against Kansas City. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, that was
They go
great.
for it on fourth down. Jones smacks the crap out of him. And so I thought that was the key. Did the Bengals break a tackle yesterday?
I don't think so.
I don't remember it if they
Special
did.
teams or defense, it seemed like they were completely buttoned up. I mean, that was great.
So I didn't see that coming. I thought offensively they would improve a little bit, and they were nothing to write home about, but they were competent on offense. They were functional on offense. That defense, to me, not dropping off and playing with more of an edge and setting a tone against Joe Burrow, even a shorthanded Joe Burrow. That, to me, is why they won. I did not expect that at all.